All right, welcome. Look, this is my tutorial on Substance Designer. So when you open up Substance Designer, hold on, let me go and start a new graph here. I'll click OK. When you start a new graph, you want to make sure you select metallic roughness, and then you can change the name of your graph. So I'm going to go with brick wall. Okay. You can change the parent size. I'm just going to go with like 2K, so 2048 by 2048. And I'm not really going to change anything. We just want to keep it the way it is. All right. Right here, if we click on the bottom, the template details will show us what we have here. So we got base color, normal, roughness, metallic, height, ambient, and creative. All right, we're not really doing anything. I'm just showing you what those are. And we're going to click OK. All right. Now we have essentially this our graph here, and then we have the cube view, the 3D view, and then the 2D view, and then everything here, which is a explode. Then we have the library here on the side. So maybe different for everyone. Mine shows up over here on the side. All right. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a brick wall, but I want to make sure that I have everything set up for my 3D view. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to go to the renderer, click on my edit settings, make sure everything's good here. Okay. We're going to go into the material under default. We're going to go to mesh or metallic roughness right over here. Click on tessellation plus displacement, and then we should have these parameters here on the side. What I want to do is I want to bring the tessellation factor. I'm going to bring that up to like 30. And then I think the scalar value would just bring it up. And I think we should be good. I'll bring the scale up as well. Maybe I'll leave it alone. I'll just bring it up to 2. We may have to go back and change it, right? All right. So we have that set up. This is just so that I brought the tessellation up so that when I start adding all these other nodes, we get to see all the how it's going to look like in 3D. All right. So this is what it looks in the 3D view, and then this is what it looks in in 2D view. Right. This is basically what we're looking at as the texture, and then this is how it looks like, I guess, when it's applied. Right. So we're going to focus more on this side. So to start off, I want to press spacebar, right? And then I'm going to type in tile. And we'll do like tile generator, random tile, whichever, right? I think there is a brick. So I'm going to look for brick wall, type in brick wall instead of tile. Brick 1, 2, brick generator. I'll do brick 1, and we have our bricks here, all right? To make things easier, what I like to do first is I like to make sure that this is connected to all of this. So I'm going to connect this to my normal map, and then I'm going to connect this to my height. And there you go. So if you notice here, now that I've plugged it into these nodes, you'll notice that there's now like a height, or you can see some like brick textures here. All right. So the easiest way to look at this is just to look at everything as a height map. So anything that is white will just start to kind of like displace on the cube here, right? And then everything black will go down. So that's essentially what's happening. So anything that's white is being like raised up onto the 3D model. Next, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna bring this out, and then we're gonna start essentially adding nodes to make this look more like a brick wall. Because right now it's a little bit too clean. There's no color, right? If you want to change the lighting or like swap the lighting, hold shift and then right click, and we can like kind of move the lighting around to see how everything looks. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to click on this so that we can check our parameters here. And we want to make sure we set our parameters right. So right now the scale is at 4. Edge smoothness, I think this is all fine for our brick texture. All right. The next I'm going to do is I'm going to create a blend. Boom. Then I'm going to create. Oh, there you go. Make sure that all right, create a blend, and then I'm gonna put this one in the foreground, I would say, and then right below it, we're gonna spacebar and make a purling noise. Then we're gonna connect that to the bottom portion of it. I'll double click on it. So right now we don't see anything at the moment, and then I'm just gonna go to like maybe multiply, and now we can start to see how this purling noise is blending in with this brick, right? That's what we're doing right now. Now what I'm gonna do next is I'm just gonna go ahead and connect this node to our normal node. So now you can kind of see the textures on the on the brick pattern. And then I'm gonna go ahead and connect it down to my height map as well. I'm just gonna move this here to the side. So we're constantly just connecting it and updating this material to make it look more like the brick, right? So we'll do an invert light scale here, here, or invert grayscale, I'm sorry. We'll connect that. This will create our mask for our mortar. Then we're just going to connect this to our levels. So to adjust the levels of it next. So now I have more control. I have control over the brick. And what I'm doing here is I'm just like creating a invert so that way when we mess around with it, we can like mess with the lines here a bit. I think what I'll do first before I do anything is um before we connect it to this, we'll use like the purling noise, and I'm going to use like maybe directional warp, and then connect this purling noise to the directional warp, and then connect this directly to this. So I'm using the directional warp to like kind of give our like bricks a little bit more um less make it less kind of like squarish, right? We'll mess with the directional warp until it's like a lot less. We don't have to like do anything crazy. We don't need it like that, right? We could just something around the lines like this. Maybe instead of a purling noise, we can like go in and maybe use like PW. Is it BW? Yeah, PW. Black and white spots. I kind of like the black and white spots from this, and I'll just connect it to our thing here. So now we have like these lines here that's a little bit less crazy, right? I'm gonna try to make it. There we go, perfect. Because I want these bricks to be a little bit more jagged than like too straight, than straight. That's what I'm trying to do here. Put this here. We'll connect this directly to this, right? I think for now, um, what I'll do is I'll move this invert grayscale, and I'm just gonna see if I can connect this to that. There you go. And then we'll connect this directly to our normal. Now the goal here right now is what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this detail into the the little cracks here, right? As of now, we just have like these bumps here, but I want the little details to show up in the middle of the cracks. So that's what we're trying to do. So in this case, I may have to actually use another blend. So what a blend is, right? This is essentially like in Photoshop, you have the blend mode, and essentially in the foreground, you can have like the um, whatever texture you want, and in the background, it'll just basically blend it, and then you can use the blending modes to kind of get what you need, and you can like mask it out if we need to, right? So I think if I put this here, maybe put that there, and I'll probably try like a no. Let's try min dark. Kind of getting somewhere with the min dark, right? Maybe multiply. What we need first is we need to like apply. We'll create another one. Let's do a grunge of some kind. Maybe there's a concrete I can use. Grunge concrete. This will work. And then maybe I can put this into the bottom of this. There we go. Because I kind of want, you see this right here? I kind of want this to be like grungy. And then with the multiply, we can kind of mess around and see what we can get. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this blend node and I'm going to connect it directly to this. There we go. So now we're starting to get somewhere with our brick, right? I'm going to grab this node here. I'm going to connect it directly to our height map. What I like to do next is for the height map, I like to actually add like a levels and then connect that directly to the height. That way I just have control over the height map. We can mess with these values to kind of get what we want here. So I usually just have that there. I have this extra node here that we don't need here. We're trying to see what kind of cool things I can get out of this. Let's see what happens if I put this here. All right, it's a little bit lighter, which I like. I like that a little bit better. We can kind of mess with it a little bit. I think if I add this grunge into the levels here, it would be a lot better. So now we're kind of losing it, so I'm trying to see if I find a good balance between the two. This is probably not a good idea to have it masked here. So we'll probably need to maybe have this as a mask instead. That is the mask. So right now we're just going around, we're just trying to like, I think this might work. Or subtract, add linear dot. There you go, add linear dot is better. I think what I'll do is I'll also add a levels here. Now we have essentially inner part of the there we go. This is kind of what I want right now. think this is a lot better. I think if I use, I think I had it earlier, like an edge detect or something like that. No, not edge detect. I'm sorry. Use a an invert grayscale. Oh, we don't need that. Okay. With the Perlin, we can keep on messing around with the scale and disorder of it if we need to. I think we've got basically what we need for our grid texture. Essentially what I'm doing. I think I want to make the lines here a little bit more darker. So I'm gonna see if I can use an edge detect. It won't create with this. I don't think an edge detect would work. I'm going to see what's working here. Maybe if I use an overlay. Nope. Okay, so I think what we had earlier was better. Linear dark or was it like max lighting? You know which one it was. Dark is also nice. We do subtract though, we need to flip it. So like we'll do a invert grayscale. This one would have to like just kind of mess with like the maybe if I go in and just like use a like a blur scale, maybe that would do something. Right now we're just like doing a bit of experimentation, see what's working, what isn't. So I thought let's try to do a blur. And then we'll bring down the intensity of a blur. Maybe blur is not working here. I realize this is good enough for me, to be honest. I think what I'll do is I want to make these lines a little bit more darker. So we'll add another blend, and then we'll have this in the foreground, and maybe we'll have like another line. So like this one right here, background, and we'll add a multiply so that the lines are darker. Uh, Maybe use it as an opacity map instead. Actually, grab this line again, put it here. I'm gonna break this line up. So I'm gonna select this line here and delete it. And then we'll probably get like this texture here of some kind to kind of combine it. There you go. That's a lot better. It's like dark enough for me to like see a little bit of like detail here, and then white here for these to be raised, right? What I'll do is I'll connect it directly, then I'll connect this directly to our thing. So now we can see it here. May want to add like probably, let's see what we can do here with this leader dot here. I want to add a little bit more texture here. Um, let's not use the concrete. Maybe we'll do like a blend and blend this concrete with something else. So we can blend the concrete. We'll do like a maybe a black and white spot number 3 or something like that. Blend it together with this, and then we'll use like a multiply, and then mess with like the with what we have here. Maybe not black and white. Let's try a different one, like something interesting, like grunge. We'll do like grunge, Slavic grunge, concrete. Maybe grunge map 7, like that. Add that in, and we're just gonna just mess around with like what kind of like cool materials we can get out of it, right? Maybe if I do like add linear, I'll do like a divide or overlay of some kind, just to see like what kind of like interesting um materials we can get out of this. I'm gonna mess with the grunge here as well, mess with the balance. Okay. Maybe I wanna like do a directional warp onto this one, and then use like maybe another like a Perlin noise or something like that. And again, all I'm doing is I'm just like experimenting with different like shapes and getting interesting like randomness to create our concrete for our brick, right? So I'll just make the scale higher or something like that. Connect this to here. Then we can like mess with the intensity of this. See what cool things we can get. I'll maybe put a blur, right? That's cool. I think that's a interesting blob of a shape that we can use. Connect that to that. So now we have like this line. Right, maybe do an overlay, see how it looks with overlay. Down, right? And then just for good measure, I'll just throw in another directional like warp or something, and then just throw that into the mix. Then I can, instead of having this concrete here, now we can have this as the, now we have like all these interesting weird colors going in. Now I have, now I have like certain parts of the brick kind of like flat, certain parts not flat, right? We can mess around with that. Um, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab this entire thing and I'm just gonna move it backwards. I'll probably do another level here just to mess around more, see what kind of like interesting effects I'll get from this. So that way I can like mess with like parts that are gonna be dark, parts that aren't, right? I kind of want to see. I do still want like this right here, this ground area here. So I do want to keep a bit of roundness on some of this. So I think what I'm gonna do is with this, because I have this as a mask to this, I think what I'll do is I will use like I think edge detect might be the call here, right? So now with edge detected, see how it cleaned it up a bit. Now we can like kind of mess around with the width and roundness of it. There we go. I don't like some of the circles there, so I'm gonna see if I can. There you go. And then I'm just gonna connect this directly to this. So now our the bottom. Now we have like a lot more rounder brick tiles, right? We can like adjust the tolerance of it if we need to. Right? That's good for me. So now we have like this. Now we have our brick, we have the mortar, we have everything set up for us. Right. Now we're gonna go ahead and just start adding color. So what I'm gonna do is I want to use this. I want to create a blend mode, and I want to also add in a gradient. And what I want is I want this blend mode with connected here. Have this connect to our color. So right now it's just black, right? If I go in, you click on the gradient editor, click on pick color. We can go anywhere. You can actually just like do that, and then it'll select colors for us. But right now, I want this to be like I want the our blend mode to like kind of dictate what colors we're getting. So if we can do that, and then pick a gradient. You can find like a photo somewhere and just do that, and then boom, you got your color information, right? I'm gonna do the classic like red and the red bricks. So this is good enough. I'm just gonna change the color to be honest with you. I'll make this one white. And then this will be my reds. Bit too red for my liking. We need a little bit more orangish. There you go. That's kind of red I'm looking for. I think this one needs to be a little bit more red. I think what I need to do is then to create blend mode and have this here. View the hue. There we go. And then this right here, we'll probably just connect this directly to the bottom portion of that. We can kind of like do a color grade. I'll just do this. There we go. Maybe looking for like a good brownish color. Now that's a bit too dark. Actually, the blacks will just change the color to like a lighter color, maybe. Found like a good. No, that's not working. There we go. This is the kind of color I'm looking for. Move this off here. That. I'm doing some color picking, just random colors from an image that I have in my, seeing what's working, what isn't. There's certain ones I don't like, so I can just delete these colors. I think what I had earlier was fine. This is fine actually. Perfect. I'll leave that one alone. Let's go here, add another grading color, make this lighter. Oops. And I think I'll make this one like a maybe a redder color. Same thing with this slightly redder tone color here. We're just messing with the grade and see what like kind of what we can get out of this. Might actually make this one like a little. Let me get that color. All right, that works for me. This we can kind of mess with blacks and whites of this. I don't like that it's coming directly from this. I think it should come directly from here. So we're gonna grab this and connect it directly here. And we want to get as much white as we can and like darks here. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to fix that. Maybe grabbing here from here is not a good idea. Let's see, this is about the same material. Okay. And connect this directly. We don't have to deal with this. Okay. All right. So that's our book texture here. Now, what we need to do is we need to connect. We need to like connect it to a roughness map. And normally, what I do is I'll just again use a levels connect directly to a roughness map here. And I want like I'll do an invert grayscale. I wanted the opposite direction actually. I want this to come from the invert grayscale, and I want this invert grayscale to connect to here. So that way we have control, because I don't want like my bricks a bit too shiny. So what I'm doing is I'm just using levels to kind of like make certain parts of it less shiny. So we don't want too much like black in certain areas, and that's what I'm trying to do here. We still have like the little details from brick. I also don't want too much like black on the areas here, so it's not as shiny as I want it to be. There we go. Enough for me. A little bit better. That's going to be our normal or roughness map. I think I'll also add a level to my normal, just so that I have control as well. I don't want too much of that. Directly from the source to guns. I think that's better. Okay. All right. And then for ambient occlusion, I think I can use same deal as this. We'll probably just do like an invert grayscale or something, or use the levels and then connect it to our ambient occlusion here, and that will like kind of give us like the blacks and whites of certain things. I think this one provides a better ambient occlusion, so we can connect it. This. Actually, this directly might this one here, or actually this one here, this invert grayscale makes a better ambient occlusion. So what I'm going to do, we're going to connect it directly. There we go. That's actually a lot better. There we go. That's a lot better. Now we have a bit of ambient occlusion in some areas. What I'll do is, because this is not the same, might have to add another level blend here. Connect this here. A multiply. No, correct, I think. That's better. All right. All right. So now we have essentially all our tech materials ready for export. So what we're going to do next is we're going to right click and we're going to export outputs. And then we want to send it directly to whatever folder we need to. So I'm just going to create a Python folder here. Create a new folder. And all right, I'm going to select that folder. All right, try to choose your format, PNG, Targa, whichever you like. I prefer PNG here. I'm going to select PNG, and then I'm just going to export the outputs. Wait for it to do its thing. I'll say export done, and it should be within that folder. Boom, we have our textures here. Now to test our textures, at the moment I don't have Unreal open, so I'm going to use this texturing software real quick just to see how it looks. On the top. We have our texture. I'm gonna have to find another way to render this. Probably use Unreal. So while that's waiting, what we'll do is we'll make another texture. So we have unsaved packages. You can just save as, and that will be your Substance Designer file, quick wall. Now, if we want to work on another one right here on the Explorer, we can go to a new one here. We already have one that's on save package. That graph, I'm just gonna right click and rename this as tile. So rename, and we'll just do tile, right? And we show you how to make a tile material, right? So it's the same deal. We're gonna go in. I already have a tile generator, and all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do like a 2x2. I just want a 2x2 tile here. I'm gonna go use like an edge detect here. I want this to be a bit more cleaner. Almost. I think I'll just keep it the way it is. This is fine. And just clean it. All right. Then we'll use like a blend. And then I want to connect this with like a grunge of some kind. Will be grunge. I'll do crunch concrete. Maybe no, not crunch concrete. We'll do a purlin noise, and then I'll add a black and white. So PW dot. And we'll probably connect that with a like a directional warp to get some interesting shapes here. With a purlin, I want this one to be bigger. Probably add like a blur. Maybe a directional blur might do something. The intensity. Right. And then what I'm doing again is I'm just trying to get the grout of this tile. So put that there, and then we'll put this here. Do maybe subtract. So that's cooking so far. Then I'm going to connect this directly to normal and height maps. So right now we still kind of we have this cool looking weld look right now. Here, I'll probably use this as a mask, so it masks it for us. And then we'll do a level so that we can actually we'll do a what's it called, an invert grayscale. Now you don't necessarily have to like create a new one. You can actually just use the same shit the same stuff that you had from your brick wall. Because all we're doing is just changing out the thing here. So change that into our normal. Do some kind of copy some stuff from the brick wall here. We have, uh, okay. I sort of want this to be clean. I don't think this is working because I don't want this like little scratchy look. So I'm probably just gonna remove the blur. I'm just gonna connect it directly. There you go, that works. Do want this a bit more cleaner. Thinking if I can like this paraboloid. I guess we'll do a nice one. I guess we'll just do the brick. But I want this to be a lot cleaner than what I have it. See that? I'm trying to figure out a way to clean it even more. I don't want that to go. I would probably have to do an edge detect and see. Yeah, there you go. Remove the roundness and the width. I think we'll do a blur first. See what we can get from that blur. Or I can just grab Put it directly here. If put it directly here, though, fuel levels. Okay. So I don't need that blur anymore. What I'll do is I'll use this levels as a mask for this cleaner. We'll create another blend mode here. Put that there. Perfect. I have a cleaner line that I want. Okay. So now we have basically a cleaner, a much cleaner edge here for our tile. We're pretty much golden here. So now I want to create like a swirl material because we're making like a marble tile. So what I'll do is I will go back in. We'll just duplicate. We'll do a. We'll just use this one. Control P. Copy this. Bring this up here, and this is going to be for like the diffuse map. Essentially, what we're doing is we're trying to recreate uh, the thing. So use a directional warp, and I'm just gonna bring the intensity down and just like make it look crazy. We'll bring the scale up or something like that. See what kind of like interesting warp we can get. Cool. I'll throw in a directional blur as well, and then we'll throw in another directional warp just to get this to swirl a lot more, right? And what I'll do is I'll use like a grunge map. I think this grunge map is interesting. You can use that. Cool. I'll use a blend, and I'll probably use this directional warp, and we'll just like use like a maybe nice light and darken or something like that. Just some interesting maybe multiply might work. We'll do something. Or bring it in. What I'll do is I'll use this instead of the that's cool. A meteor dot or something. Just throw in another like blur with a directional. And I'll throw that one back. Maybe this one actually. This one's chaotic enough. Okay, that works. Okay. Now you don't have to do anything this complicated. I'm just trying to get some interesting shapes here. Then what we'll do next is we're going to use like another gradient map. This is going to connect directly to the gradient map. Actually, we need a blend. So this will go into the foreground. User will go into my background. And we'll go directly here. And then we'll connect this directly to our base color. Now for like masking purposes, what I'll do is grab this levels that we created and have that other mask that will mask out the route here. Double click, gradient, and then we'll just like pick like a random color here. Use like a brighter color. There you go. This works for like our tiles. Right? And then everything that's gonna be like dark, we're gonna use that as our color here. I'll make it a white. I don't think I need this break to self. There we go. That's what I want. I think I need that one to be this. I think I need this to be the mask. There we go. That's better. Okay. So this one I want it to be like white. So I'm gonna put like a lighter white color. Go. Then everything else you can kind of like mess around with, like what coloration you want on your tile, right? I want this to go brighter we can. Okay. All right, that works. There's our tile. Don't like that color. I'm gonna use a. Right, there's our tile. We have all that. Maybe I want some of that texture to be on top as well. I can essentially just create a new like levels over it, and then we can connect that on top. You have sort of some of the things from this. What I would want to do first is probably add another level, another blend, because I still want that some of the drop from that because it's being masked. So we need to have this on top, then have this in the bottom of the foreground, and then there, have that on top here. And now you have like a grout and a little bit of texture on our tiles, right? And then in terms of ambient occlusion, this is good for the ambient occlusion, so we can just connect this directly to this box here. And we're actually pretty good. I would also connect this directly to a levels that connects to my roughness map, but I want to flip it. We have it a bit shiny. Normally I would do like an inverse, but I kind of want it. I want control, so I just use a levels. Go, and then that's our tile. We can go right click on save package. We can rename it. Double click on it. I didn't say. Hold on. We'll right click. Yeah, rename to tile, and then we'll export it. Same deal. We want to keep whichever format you want. Then select it on the folder we want to export it to. Click export outputs. And essentially, we have our materials set. Go into characters. There's our materials as well. So for the assignment, obviously we're gonna want like three different textures. So I would go for like just a regular tile, do a brick texture, and then maybe a rock of some sort. Rocks are very simple, like stone. To be honest, you just all we need is to just like mess with these kind of nodes, like directional warps and stuff like that, and you don't have to add any of this. And then you can just connect it directly to these areas here. Essentially, break this out, remove the color, swap the color to like a rocky color. So now we have like a some type of rock to work off of it. At 11 directly to this guy so that we can just mess with. Right? Essentially, that's essentially how you can make a rock. Just mess around with these like parameters, see what you can kind of get, and you can get like a stone texture or dirt. Actually, you can get a dirt texture out of this as well. Right, that's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and like test out our materials. I don't have 3ds Max open, so I'm just gonna use Unreal. Grab a sphere here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and import the materials. I'm just gonna use the brick for now. Drag that in. Now, you don't have to like import this into Unreal. This is just for like demonstrations purposes. Later on the line, you may have to do that. For this, we don't have to. So we need to drag in our materials. Go. And then I'm just going to go ahead and apply each texture on top. I'm just going to drag every single one, put it in here. If this is our roughness, that's going to go directly to roughness. This will go directly to my normal map. We don't really need to connect it because it's already 0. That's fine. This is our height map. To connect our height map, I want to go down to the word bottom here and look for tessellation. Want to enable the tessellation just so I can add this is okay. This will go directly to our displacement. This goes into ambient occlusion. Well, I think for tessellation, I'm going to go add a multiply here. Put a scalar parameter. Apply it. For texture. All right. So we want to add like make it tileable. I'll do a texture coordinate as well. Oh shoot, I want to do that for everything. There's our perks. And that's pretty much it. You just export it out and then you apply your textures in whichever rendering software you're gonna be using. I think I could you do a better job with normal map here. It came out kind of off, but yeah, essentially that's how you make a materials and stuff design. All right.